together until Friday morning. It was a rough couple of weeks leading up to this, not really knowing what it should be. Mike and I had kicked around the idea of singing Let It Be in that spot just now. And when he first mentioned it, I really had reservations about singing that song because of the words, Mother Mary comes to me. It turns out that songwriter Paul McCartney's mother was named Mary, and that's the Mary that he was singing about. And all this time, like growing up, I thought that the song referred to Mary, the mother of Jesus. I guess I thought that because my grandmother prayed to that Mary every single day, and she'd often say, Mary came to me and told me that that would happen. Of course, she always told us after a big event that, Mother Mary knew beforehand what would happen. I guess it comforted her. And it's important that we find comfort where we can, especially when that comfort doesn't harm anyone else. I know where I find my comfort. Here, among you. That's why I support the presence, the work, and the mission of this congregation and have given so much of my life to Unitarian Universalism. I hope you feel the same way and give generously. This morning's offering will now be accepted.
We'll be performing a piece called The Seal Lullaby, which is after a story by Rudyard Kipling, with music by Eric Whitacre. And I want to read you the poem before we started, since it's sort of hard to, you get the vibe of it easily by the music, but it's...
About how every voluntary association in America, from unions and religious denominations, quilting circles and the Daughters of the American Revolution, bowling leagues and country clubs, make up civil society. Those, Maddow said, are the places where we form relationships that help define us and make us feel less alone. And authoritarians, she said, hate civil society because they keep people united. And whatever cause or mission unites the people is a threat to authoritarians. The first time I heard this concept was more than 20 years ago in seminary, studying the work of sociologist Robert Bellah. He and a slew of sociologists wrote a book called Habits of the Heart in 1985, in which they studied the then very early demise of voluntary associations in the United States. And they warned that as religious institutions and other forms of civil society die, our democracy will die, because we will have bought into the idea of individualism so much that we will believe that we don't need each other to survive, that our needs are the only correct needs, the only needs that matter. According to Bellah, if we let voluntary associations die, civil society dies, because we will have stopped seeing the humanity in one another. In early 2000, political scientist Robert Putnam published a book called Bowling Alone, which made a similar prediction. It was kind of an extrapolation of what he saw already happening. Bowling leagues and other voluntary associations were disappearing. And he warned that we would all become isolated. And he predicted exactly where we are now, a divided nation where opposite sides call each other horrible names. His work was so prescient, it recently inspired a documentary film called Join or Die, which was endorsed by Braver Angels, a nonprofit dedicated to policies of depolarization. Braver Angels is facilitating a conversation between sides. Not the extremists, but the rest of us. In a world where we're less likely to be in a voluntary association and more likely to be alone, doom scrolling through an echo chamber online, Braver Angels wants us to connect with our neighbors, They want us to do something, to join something, anything, just to preserve our humanity and our belief in humanity, even the humanity of people who think very differently from ourselves. I'm not going to lie to you. On Wednesday, I was angry, I was hurt, I was scared, because the president-elect and his base supporters have made it clear that people I love don't deserve basic rights that I consider to be basic human rights, especially immigrants and people whose gender expression doesn't neatly fit into the binary. And I know that there are other people I love, some of whom are right here in this room now, who think that that's an exaggeration. I'll talk about that and how I see Unitarian Universalism's role in the years ahead next week in my sermon, which will be an open letter to the president-elect. But for right now, what matters to me, and I hope what matters to you, is that we're together, that we are preserving democracy by making this voluntary association, this little part of civil society, more civil, more humane, by simply being together on purpose and with purpose, because we need one another. So let's all rise now as we are willing and able and sing together number 1021 in the Teal hymnal, Lean on Me.